Welcome to the Wealth Transfer with TC. Today, I want to talk about preparation for a Kamala Harris presidency. Now, before you make any negative comments, hear me out in what I have to say. 2024, the election is only 50 days away, and this election has been very contentious. We know what just happened again with DJT, and we see all the chaos that is ensuing on both sides. And I believe that people need to prepare for what could happen if Kamala Harris is president. And you have to think about, how are you going to prepare for that? And I think you should prepare the same even if DJT becomes president. We've talked about prepping for some time. We've talked about all the things that could happen during 2024. And the failure of the economy and the failure of this global system and transitioning over to a new one. Those are the things that we have been preparing for. And hopefully most of you have achieved your goals. But I think now, and many people already have, and you should start focusing on prepping yourself for what could take place over the next 2 months and the chaos that could ensue. And we have a lot of enemies that are out there trying to destroy America. And there's a lot of things that could happen around the time of the elections to try to cause chaos, fear. And we also have the threat of what's going on in Ukraine. And there's a lot of things that could happen with that could raise the price of oil, raise the price of gas, raise the price of food even more. So many different things, so many different scenarios that could take place around the time of the elections. And I want people to make sure that they are prepping themselves and thinking about that they have enough groceries to get through the next couple months and supplies and many other things. But it's not just the short term. It's also the longer term too, because we don't really know how things are going to turn out. And I've shared with you a lot, and I've discussed in the groups and shared many videos from many other people concerning getting yourself prepared for the moment that we're getting ready to enter. I mean, if things seem at their worst, how bad is it really going to be? And it's not just here in the United States. This is global. Also, my other point I want to make is that in 2020, we saw many false prophets. Many. Just as Jesus said, in the last days, there will be many false prophets. That's more than 50%. And we had a lot of them say a lot of things in the name of God. And God said that were not true, and misled millions of people. Many people's faith was hurt because they actually believed in a lot of these people. Remember, I even got caught up into some of the stuff. Not all of it, thankfully. I realized that on Inauguration Day, that nothing was going to happen. That's when I realized a lot of the things that I had believed were not true. And then those same prophets misled people for the next 3 years with return of Trump, and all these people are going to get arrested and tribunals and all this garbage that was all a lie. They were just telling you stories, and you guys were paying them to prophesy those stories, just like Balaam. And there were some people that did prophesy that Trump was going to lose. Those people got ostracized in the Christian prophetic community. And yes, we should prepare for the short term and for the longer term. And I know that a lot of people are waiting for some of the markets to move, and depending on your trading level and where you're at and how you're making your money, not everybody's in that position. A lot of people are just buying and waiting, buying and holding, right? They're just waiting for these moments for when crypto does move up. And that's okay, because that's just another strategy of trading. You're not trying to sit in front of the computer every single day, because when you do, trust me, it wears on the body, it wears on the mind, it wears on the eyes. Then even with the long term, preparing yourself. What if she does win? We have her for the next 4 to 8 years. How will you prepare? And I think when it comes to the economy, and you see they're getting ready to cut interest rates, and the money supply level is increasing, and you're getting ready to see more inflation. But even if DJT is in office, they're still going to do the same thing. They're still going to go through with their plan. So you should be preparing anyway. Yes, I'm praying for the same outcome that you see. And don't be surprised, folks, if he doesn't do all the things that everybody thinks he's going to do, because he didn't do it in the last term. He had the opportunity to strike a fatal blow, and he didn't. And to be honest with you, folks, when people talk about DJT and being some type of messiah and all this stuff, I mean, that stuff is for real, and it's very dangerous. And I think even for me, when I look at things, when I look at like end times and I look at prophecy and I look at events that are taking place in the Middle East and events that are taking place in Israel, and I see how things are unfolding and how, even DJT, along with Harris, they both agree on a two-state solution. And so I think that is important when I look at the future, that regardless of who's in there, a deal like that could be made, which could have a great impact on the Christian community, because we know that, first of all, there's going to be a third temple involved, because you can't have an abomination. You can't stop the sacrifice unless there's a temple. The sacrifice has to start, and then it has to be stopped. Yes, the third temple, it won't take very long to build it. They're already ready to go. So when I think about the long term, I'm not just thinking about, over the next year. I'm thinking years from now. And we are looking for certain events to take place. And that's the difference with this wealth transfer. And a lot of people, even including myself early on, I got confused about what the wealth transfer really is. I've had to make videos explaining what God was showing me. And there have been wealth transfers that have taken place. 1929 through the 1930s and the Depression, there were some people that made a lot of money because they were in position to do it. And I believe that God is showing us that these events are going to take place just like they have in the past, over and over and over again, with our stock market, with the crypto markets, with the economy. And he's saying, put yourself in the position. Get into the crypto markets, get into the stock market, learn how to trade. You go into a recession or into a depression for a certain amount of time, and eventually you come out of it. And the ones that come out of it are the ones that are making the smarter moves. Those are the ones that saved their money. Those are the ones that invested. Those are the ones that, when opportunity came, they took it. So what does happen if DJT does get in after 4 years? We have Vance, and who else? Really, Trump only has 3 years to get everything done. And who knows what's going to happen with the elections and the midterm elections. We don't know how things are going to be within the next 3.5 years. Now, folks, I believe that we are getting ready to witness when things seem at their worst. That within the next year, by the time that December of 2025 is here, that we are going to see when things seem at their worst. We are going to see inflation skyrocket. We're going to see the stock market come crashing down. We're going to see some of these wars really break out. We're going to see food lines. We're going to see all those things. These things we've been talking about for a long time, and I think that God is warning us. So don't you think that you should prepare, just like Joseph? So God is going to let us know so that he can warn his people, so his people can be prepared and to be there for others when that time of need needs to be met. Right? This is not all about getting rich. This is not all about buying fancy things. There's a lot of other people talk about getting rich. That word shouldn't even be in your vocabulary, because rich is not wealthy. It's a completely different mindset. We have to be very careful in these times, folks, especially dealing with the wealth transfer and finance. One of the things that I'll probably do a separate video on is that a lot of these so-called prophets want you financially dumb. They don't want you to be literate in figuring out these things ourselves. When somebody comes out with a prophecy and they say Bitcoin is going to reach this in a certain amount of time, but the charts say something different, and then when the prophet is wrong, they just brush it off. And the people who are financially illiterate just take it as, oh, he just missed it. And the people that are financially literate, they can see through the mess and see through the garbage and the lies that some of these so-called prophets are saying when it comes to the financial realm. And the more and more financially literate that you become, the more you will see through some of these things that many of these people are saying when they are saying God said concerning anything financially related to the markets or to crypto or whatever the case. Anyways, folks, that is all that I have for this today. I just want people to be in a position. I want people to prepare for what's going to take place over the next year and several months, because I think that we are going to see when things seem at their worst. Anyways, thank you for listening. God bless. TC out.